Hello all, Zinger Barbecue here, and I wanted to go over a build that's been tickling my fancy for the past few weeks in Guild Wars 2, and that is the Healing Necromancer. Most people, when I tell them, when I go into a pug or something, I go, "Hey, I'm a necro healer, don't mind?" They're like, "I don't mind, but what the heck is that? I've never heard of that before ever. If you're gonna heal, go Guardian or Druid." But I've done raids with this build, I've done dungeons, fractals, um, so I'll go over my weapons, my skills, and then I'll go over my gear, runes, sigils, and then I'll finish off with my specializations and traits. So we'll start with my main weapon in this build, which is staff. And so staff, main reason I pick it, because you can get perma regen for your group with it. Put Mark of Blood down, and it gives regeneration to 5 allies in the area. So we start off, we already have one heal skill. Chillblains, kind of, just some extra damage, mainly some crowd control. Putrid Mark is a self-condition removal. I like having stuff for me so I don't waste my other skills on myself. So I can cleanse my conditions here. Reaper's Mark can help break bar for bosses, and it can help you revive a downed ally. So you put it down, fears enemies, then you can get in there and revive. As part of healing is also getting people up. So let's switch over, and I take Dagger Focus. So let's start with my dagger. I switch to this section if I need to do damage, if I need to cleanse or, remove boons from the enemy, or if I need to heal myself. And we'll be like, well, use your heal skill. Well, since the Necro doesn't have many heals, I don't waste any on myself. I have self-healing, so a life siphon. 9 times 521 healing. This is pretty much my own heal skill on a 12-second cooldown. So I'll switch to this, heal myself up, switch back to staff, boom, keep healing. Reaper's Touch, I can keep some regeneration up while I go to this side, to this weapon set. So that's nice. And I can remove boons. Adds a little crowd control, but mainly even in raids, there's some boons you need to remove. So that's part of your job also as a support, you're not just a healer. So those are my weapons. Let's go over my healing skill, and that's Well of Blood. There's no better choice in my opinion, unless there's an absolute certainty that no one's going to be standing still, ever. Then you could switch to Signet of Vampirism, but all in all I prefer Well of Blood. I hit for around 1300 healing with it, at least, to 5 targets. So melee targets are going to get this most, and you just put it near, and they can stand there and face tank anything. So for projectile destruction or reflection, we have Corrosive Poison Cloud, and Guardian healers or whatever have Wall of Reflection. Mesmers have their reflections. Well, Necros are too good, and they just destroy the projectiles, which is, it's not as good, I'll admit. But it applies weakness, so I use this even on melee units. Wall of Reflection is useless against melee units, so I'll put this down, cleanse my condition, which gives another stack of weakness, and then this also blasts, which gives another AoE weakness. So this is more viable in, let's say, like dungeons than it is in raids. I'll go over some raid stuff you can take instead. Well of Darkness, after this the weakness expires, I'll usually put down this so my teammates don't get hurt, or if they're hurt, I'll put this down and then I can heal them up. So most supports need a condition removal for their group, and this is a really good one, I'll have to say. So it's another well, and it converts conditions into boons. So a little bit of boon duration is going to do you wonders on this build. And you can technically give any boon in the game as long as it converts said condition over. So say someone's poisoned, you put down this and it converts poison into regeneration. It converts chilling into that new boon where you don't get hurt by conditions. So it all depends on what condition you transfer. Some other skills you could take for raids. For mobility, I like taking Spectral Walk. 34-second swiftness is nothing to laugh at. Signet of Undeath is a really good one for me because people go down raids no matter how much you heal them. If they're full health, they'll mess up and they'll get killed instantly. Being able to revive 3 targets at range, I can't see a much better choice here. Spectral Wall, I've taken. I loved it at first, but then it only gives 5 seconds of protection. So if there's nothing else, you could take this. Some self-survivability if you need it. Armor, spectral armor. If you need more might, which is rare in a raid, but you can take Blood is Power. There's lots of options here. You can pick what is your playstyle, but remember, you're supporting, so don't take something, you know, to just make yourself better. Like, I don't know, something like, you know, Signet of Locust. Why would you take this? I guess you could run faster, but you can take this for mobility. You'd get around way quicker, and you can teleport back. I just find this way stronger for mobility. For elite skills, I always take Flesh Golem in PvE, but in PvP you can take Plague Form or whatever you want, pretty much. But I take Flesh Golem for some extra survivability for me, and for his ability to charge and break the boss's bar, which is very important. So I don't know many supports that can break bar as well as a Necro support. So those are my skills and weapons. Let's go over my gear. I run full Cleric, and with only exotic weapons and exotic accessories, and a very bad level 55 back piece, I already have 1600 healing power, and there's no stacking sigil here. Nothing. Not in here. No stacking sigils. That's all the healing power I'll get from this stuff. So that's insane to me. I don't know of many classes that can get this much healing power. Let's go over my runes. I take Rune of the Monk. I take Rune of the Monk over Water because my heal skill is on a long cooldown. If it was on a 20-second cooldown, I'll be like, yeah, that's justifiable, I'll take that. So the only downside for Monk is you'll have to farm AC, Ascalonian Catacombs, for that, but if you don't want to, you can run Water. I'm not going to get mad at you. So, for sigils, for both weapon sets, I take Sigil of Transference, which increases your healing by another 10%, which stacks. So 20% healing increase. And so since we only have 2 heals so far, which is not good, you know, Well of Blood is, yeah, that's a good heal, but it's on a 40-second cooldown, and we have perma regen, which isn't going to keep a team alive. Sigil of Water is going to help with that. Here, heal nearby allies when you attack with your weapons, on a 30% chance. Only a 5-second cooldown. This hits for about 800 I've seen, maybe even more. So I take those. Very useful. Let's, yeah, those are my sigils, my runes, weapons. Let's go over the specializations. Blood magic. All 3 of these major traits are going to be the bread and butter of the build. But the first one, however, is up to you between 2 choices. Ritual of Life, revive speed increase, and you put down a Well of Blood when you revive people. It's not as strong of a Well of Blood, but it can be very good. However, lately I've been leaning more towards the Blood Bond, because what the heck? So there's you're bleeding constantly from your marks of blood from the one you get. Oh, sorry, I forgot to go over this one. When you dodge, you get a mark of blood too. 8-second cooldown, so you can get lots of bleeding and lots of regeneration. Sorry about that. So with that, you're gonna permanently off cooldown have this up, which is only 5 stacks in a raid. That's not much, but I think any bit to keep your teammates up before the down state is something you should try to invest in as much as possible. However, I will not argue with anyone who thinks Ritual of Life is better, and if I find out that, hey, this isn't doing much, then I'll switch over again. I'll stick to this for a little and test it out. Minions siphon health, and use siphon health and give it to yourself. This one's like, oh, good, now my minion heals me, which is why I like him. He gives me a little bit of sustain, so I don't need to waste heals on myself. Lots of people think, oh, you run Vampiric Presence? I'm like, no way. That's not strong enough at all to 5 targets, getting 40 healing per hit. Not enough for me. This, Life from Death. Heal nearby allies and partially revive people when you exit Death Shroud. This is another reason why I don't think it's necessary to take Ritual of Life, because you can, with these next talents, you revive people from your skills, which is what you don't want to use them for mainly, but you can in a pinch. So, heal and partially revive allies in an area when you leave Death Shroud. You're like, well, Death Shroud has a 10-second cooldown. What, are you going to pop in and out? Yes. And you'll see why it's not a 10-second cooldown later. You just pop in, out. I hit over 3,400 with this easily. And just boom, boom. Instant burst healing on a, like, short cooldown. It's a very short cooldown for that much healing. Last rites. So, allies who go down don't bleed out when you're around them anymore. Very, very strong ability. But my favorite part is you permanently gain a 150 healing power. And the less health you get, the more healing power you'll get. So when you're below 750% health, or 75% health, you get 300 healing power. And below 50% health, you get 450 healing power. My favorite skill, Transfusion. I could not think of a reason to take these ones at all. Like, drawing, I guess, if there was a heavy condition thing going on, but I heal for over 10k with this. And you're like, well, that's a 40-second cooldown, 10k heal. Wow, congratulations, you now have 2 heal skills. Well, it's not a 40-second cooldown anymore. You'll see later. But another good thing is you can teleport downed allies to you. And it revives them. Some. Like 18% total. So you can pull, say they're all in a bad AoE, three down targets. You can, boom, hit 4, they're all near you. Then you're healing them. So, already we have Perma Regen, Well of Blood, a mini, or a lesser Signet of Vampirism, that Sigil of Water. I have Life from Death, and Transfusion. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 heals, which is not bad at all. Or 6, even. Sorry. So this next talent, or specialization line, is more for yourself, keeping you alive so you can heal. One of the most important things, if you go down, then what's going to happen? People have to stop their DPS or tanking to revive you, and it's just a big mess. So I take lose conditions when you enter Death Shroud, and every few seconds you're in Death Shroud. This works well with a talent we'll get later. You also gain increased toughness while in Death Shroud, which you're not going to stand long because you're usually popping it in and out. However, if there's no conditions, any of these will work, whatever you prefer. So if there's conditions at all, take this. If not, you can take Putrid Defense or Flesh of the Master, because you'll get it from your fleshy. Increase your life force generation from deaths. Raid, it's not useful at all. But in dungeons, hey, keeping your life force up is keeping you healing. Here I take Deadly Strength, allowing you to do a little more damage. In PvP, take Reaper's Protection. There's no reason to take Necromantic Corruption. I'll usually take Deadly Strength. Whenever you leave Death Shroud, you gain protection to you and your little golem guy. So you're popping it off cooldown pretty much. So that's almost 50% protection uptime. Very strong. Next I gain Unholy Sanctuary, which allows me to heal up while I'm in Death Shroud. It's basically a perma regen while in Death Shroud. And that's not that good. Like, I'm not going to sit in Death Shroud. Very rarely do I do that. But if you're about to die, instead of instantly dying, say from a big burst, you pop into Death Shroud, even if it's on cooldown, which allows you to, in situations, pop in Death Shroud, heal, when you pop out, then you get hit, and you're in Death Shroud, you can pop out again and heal for about 7k. That's a lot. AoE. So, I'll take this. Some survivability, like I said. Then, we go into Soul Reaping. Why would we go into Soul Reaping? That's no healing in there. Remember, our main heals, besides Well of Blood, have to do with Death Shroud. So if Death Shroud's on cooldown, that's where we're at our weakest. That's why this is a hard build to play. You're at your point, you're like, oh my gosh, I need 2 seconds for that Death Shroud to be up. So, increased life force generation, very good. Keep that pool up. Then I take increased movement speed and reduce cooldown of your shroud. Pop in and out on instead of 10-second cooldown, you have a 7-second cooldown. That's amazing. And since you need to be near people, I recommend being in melee range most of the time. You can run faster, so you can catch up to people to undo your Death Shroud to heal them. Gain Spectral Armor for free when you go under 50% health. This allows you to gain some more Shroud, and allows you to tank some damage. It's pretty good, and it stun breaks. Next, I recommend taking Vital Persistence. And this allows you to stay in Death Shroud without wait. Like, you're not just gonna lose your Death Shroud instantly. Like, we can sit in here for quite a while. And now our life transference from transfusion has only a 34-second cooldown. Armored up. Do more damage when you're above the blah blah. More damage. Foot in the Grave. That's something I noticed when I switched to my Guardian Healer. Is if I got stunned, I can't heal. Like, I was like, sitting there waiting to get up. It was kind of frustrating. So with Foot in the Grave, you have a 7-second cooldown, stun break, stability. Stability, protection, just for popping that. You are a very, very survivable frontline healer. You stay in that fight. You're very tanky. You do decent damage, and you sustain your team. So, I will upload some footage of the raid my guild and I are doing tonight, and hopefully that goes well. And, so, have fun with your gaming adventures. Try out this build. I recommend it. I love it. I'm going to continue to build for it and play it. Well, have a good day, guys, and I'll see you later.